Techniques. Thank you so much for joining us once again, and for those who are joining us for the first time. Today we've got, let's go back to beginning. Today's session we've got Sipho Manana. He is a specialist and a seasoned professional in the space of business analysis, software engineering, and architecture. He's been in the game for over 25 years, over 2 decades, and his specialization is around standards and practices. His career spans work in the consulting space, public-private sector, banking industry, energy, telcos, and is also a partner of Adaptive US Incorporated. You should know them. If you're in the BA space, you probably have tried delving into some of the courses there. And he also is a certified certification trainer with Knowledge Academy UK. So also, I'll just want to go over our house rules for the event today. So the speaker will be speaking, and unless if we invite you to speak, you will stay on mute. Or the video as well must be off. Only the speaker will be on video. The session will be 45 minutes of presentation, and then we will have the Q&A in the last 15 minutes. While the speaker is speaking, you are more than welcome to post questions in the main chat, and then also in the Q&A, you may utilize the Q&A. We will then read the questions to the presenter in the last 15 minutes so that he can address all questions, comments that you may have. And then we do have our YouTube channel where within these sessions we record, and you will be able to access the sessions there, but not the slides. We don't distribute the slides, but you can watch this session again in our YouTube channel. And you can see our links for joining. If you want a membership, you go to our IIBA.org website, and then all our events, you'll find them in our website as well under events links. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook. Just search for IIBA South Africa chapter. Also, Instagram is the same. You'll find us there as well. And if you do and have an interest in presenting in tools and techniques, and you have a topic you would like to cover, you can contact us in our email, which is professionaldevelopment@southafrica.iiba.org. We do have, at the end of the session, we'll also share a link to our feedback form where you can complete your feedback form. You may also share, if you're interested, in a post session handout in the comment section of that feedback form, and then we will then email you the feedback form. We also will share the links to our YouTube channel and all other social platforms that we have mentioned. Thank you, Sipho. Over to you, sir, to start with your presentation.
Okay, thank you, Fatu, and thank you for the opportunity for being able to present and share a bit of my knowledge and insight with everybody who's actually attended. And I know everybody's tired as I am, seeing it's actually already the evening, but I'll try and go through the presentation as painless as possible. So let's, without further ado, let's go through it. Now, the actual topic is based on from the business analysis from entry business BAs level to the professional BAs, why business analysis actually failed, and how it succeeds in the real world. This is basically from education, interaction, demonstrations, and QA. Let's go back forward. Session intent. The intention of the session today is not about tools, certifications, or methodologies that compete with one another. It's all about just the professional execution, what actually happens in real projects, why outcomes often diverge from what theory promises. Because when we're studying and doing business analysis studies, but in practice, in real, when we're applying the knowledge in the real projects, then we have issues. So why BA work breaks down. So we explored the real world gap between the textbook knowledge and on the ground execution pressure. And then the other one is entry level BA versus a professional. Then we want to understand the and differentiate between a practitioner who knows BA from one who consistently delivers it. Because knowing something, it's like knowing a path and walking a path. It's actually two different verdicts. Now, the AI responsible, which means where AI can legitimately help us as BA workers, and where it must not be allowed to substitute judgment, which means you still have to use the PABOK and every guidelines that you have, and then you still have to do your own BA work, not have AI actually trying to overtake that. And principles and actions will have a live demonstration of execution of discipline using a real BA execution. And this is actually from my own experience, where I've been also struggling in terms of executing the discipline within the BA itself. So I actually made sure that I create something that can actually assist me. Um, the next slide is the reality of a business analyst life. And I think all of us, we can attest to this, what our daily life actually looks like. Or it's like conflicting with stakeholders' expectations. Everything's urgent. Meetings consume the day, which means the analysis actually happens at night. We have a constant context switching across tools and teams. As you can see, as BAs, that's the reason why I've actually created an execution platform that actually help with that. We have the pressure to just document, and the accountability when project fails actually comes to us, even if we have actually raised the risks to say no, there are risk implication involved. Now, the real question worth sitting with is, how many of you have felt confident when you started with your BA, actually professional work, and overwhelmed over 6 months later? And I think we can actually attest to that. If a BA work matches textbook, I mean, seriously, it would have been really much easier. But in reality, guys, it's messy, it's faster, it's politically complex, and feeling overwhelmed is not a failure, actually. It is just a signal that knowledge alone is insufficient without structure and discipline. Okay, let's go to how we're going to be actually use PABOK in this session. As we know, PABOK is just a body of knowledge. It's just what we call best practices. It's not a methodology. This distinction is a foundational to everything that follows. So what PABOK provides for us is a shared professional language across the discipline. So we actually like sort of talk the same language. We understand exactly the context of what everybody is talking about. Knowledge areas, techniques, and competency, and the foundation for certification and professional growth, obviously. But what does it not prescribe is that it's a single delivery model or methodology, a step-by-step execution of framework. So you have to figure it out yourself. A tool-specific workflow or template, it doesn't provide that. You have to actually also figure those out yourself. So in light of the professional practice, business analysts design and tailor execution approaches themselves using what? The guideline, which is the PABOK principles, based on the context, risk, organizational needs. Nothing in this session treats PABOK as a methodology, so that you should kick it out. The focus is how practitioners operationalize PABOK knowledge into repeatable execution, regardless of whatever the environment is, in terms of is it hybrid, waterfall, or agile. Okay, now the common BA points, these are real ones, not textbook. We all suffer from this, where fragmented work, where we have to go and use Excel, Word, email, and diagrams with no single source of truth, which means everything is all over the show. Context is lost every time you switch tools. The other thing is we rewrite, repeated rewrites in terms of the requirements, which are multiple across time across different formats, audience, which we actually deal with, and change requests with no control baseline, which means there is no baseline in terms of the requirements. And also lost in traceability. Traceability collapses after change request. Now, disputed agreements is going to be what was signed off. This becomes actually a recurring conflict. So also there's an issue in terms of audit readiness. So we have a difficulty in producing audit-ready artifacts under pressure. The outputs that should be a byproduct of good practice become a last time scramble. So we just have to scramble them. So the key insight here will be this is an execution depth and not a lack of a BA knowledge. So which means the issue is execution. These problems appear across industry, maturity levels, and methodologies. They persist not because BAs don't know better, but the issue is execution constantly collapses under pressure. So you're pressurized to actually deliver, sign off, do this, do that. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, we were talking about why knowledge alone is not sufficient. So to produce professional outcomes. So firstly, it's because of PABOK does not enforce consistency. So meaning knowledge without habit produces inconsistent outputs, which we also can attest to that. PABOK doesn't protect traceability, so which means understanding traceability and maintaining it is a different discipline. And also, PABOK does not adapt itself to change, which means frameworks don't self-apply under deadline pressures. You actually have to do something about it. Manage execution pressure. PABOK doesn't do that. So the political complexity and ambiguity required practice discipline itself. So in effect, is that the real professional question is not, do I know good BA practice? The main one, what it is actually, it is, does my daily work reflect it constantly? So the professional difference in consistent execution of principles, even when you have these pushbacks, be what timelines, be politics or ambiguity. Okay, let me go to the next slide. So now let's have a look at the professional BA execution discipline. So this is actually not a bureaucratic overhead. These are professional safeguards that protect projects, stakeholder trust, and your credibility as a BA. The first one will be deliberate sequencing, which means activities are ordered intentionally, not reactively. So each step builds on the last with clear inputs and outputs. So the next one will be consistent, reusable, and reusable artifacts. So the output follows repeated structures that can be referenced, updated, and reused across projects and teams. And then we also have issue of traceability from day one in terms of the PA execution discipline, where the requirements are linked to business objectives, stakeholders, test cases from the moment they are captured. The next one is the visual and textual alignment, which means the diagrams, written requirements tell the same story. So if you have the diagrams and you go back to the requirements, you can actually be able to trace exactly that this is the same story. So this reduces ambiguity and stakeholder misalignment. So the other one is audit ready by default, which was also one of the issues that we talked about. That is one of the headaches. Now here, the outputs are structured so that the audit readiness is a natural byproduct of a good practice, not a last minute effort, as we actually have said it before. Okay, there are two legitimate ways a professional BA's work. Okay, the risk is not choosing one execution mode. The risk is using the wrong mode in the wrong context, specific uh, in reality. So both approaches are actually professionally when applied appropriately. So we have one which is a step-by-step execution, so which is structured, sequential approach where each phase is completed, validated before we proceed to the next. So this is best suited for entry BAs building foundational habits, high risk or regulated project context, coaching and capability building engagements. Now, the other one is end-to-end execution. This one is more a compressed, integrated approach where an experienced practitioner manages the full BA cycle concurrently. So this is best suited for maybe like people like maybe Lalita. If I just mention names, probably people who have been having experience of BA and paid on a daily basis. Experienced practitioners with proven disciplines, maybe consulting environments with senior stakeholders, compressed timelines required by parallel work streams. Both are professional. The context determined approach, the discipline of choosing correctly itself is a mark of professional maturity. So I'm not also a subject expert. I'm just one of those people that learn day by day and try to apply so that I can be able to do my work as well. So what AI should and what AI should not do for ABA. So we spoke about the AI before, that in terms of its context. Here we're going to actually sort of demystify and clarify it. So firstly, AI should reduce repetitive in document task, enforce structure across artifact types, improve consistency across requirements, surface gaps in coverage or traceability, and support traceability maintenance at scale. What it shouldn't is replace the BA's judgment or professional reasoning. Decide priorities on behalf of the stakeholders, override stakeholder relationships and trust, substitute for human engagement and facilitation. So the core principle is that here is that AI supports execution discipline, not thinking. Used correctly, AI increases professional sustainability. Used irresponsibly, it produces a fast structured wrong outputs. Actually, I can attest to this. I've got a legal, a South African AI powered legal suite that I've actually created because of one of the things is that uh, our legal professionals were starting to use ChatGTP to prepare for their cases in the court. So they went to the courts and they started presenting fictitious evidence and stuff. So some of them were fined, penalized, and some of them almost lost their licenses because of what they did here. They tried to actually try and use substitute AI as for the human engagement and facilitation. Okay, let's go to the next slide. The principles in practice. What you will see is actually the execution of the discipline in made visible. So, which means the professional sequencing and structure manifest in a real working environment, which means everything is linked from requirements, facilitation to user stories, use cases, all the way through, right to the traceability. Structured and forced, not suggested. The environment does not allow shortcomings that would compromise artifact quality and traceability. So the other thing that you guys will see is that traceability is built in. It's not bolted on. So traceability is native to the execution approach, not an afterthought added at the project close. So these principles, when applied well in solving the problems discussed earlier. So I'm going to go to the next slide, which is basically mapping the principles to the real pain points. So here, the first pain point will be fragmented work across tools. Execution principle will be consistent, reusable artifacts. What you'll see is a unified execution environment. Repeated requirements rewrites. Here, the execution principle will be deliberate sequencing. And what you'll see is a controlled baseline management. So lost traceability after changes, that's a pain point. Here, the execution principle will be traceability from day one. So what you will see is a built-in requirement linkage. Dispute sign off, which is a pain point on our execution principle, is that is audit ready outputs by default. Now, what you'll see is a timestamp and version artifacts. Now, the pain point would be pressure to just document. So, execution principle will be structured, enforced, not suggested. So, what you will see is guided artifacts and generation. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide. The professional maturity structure looks like this. Is not a simple but accumulated knowledge. It is about progressively embedding execution discipline into the daily practice until it becomes instinctive. So we have consistency, we've got the discipline, we've got leadership, and we've got knowledge. And that it translated most BA stall between knowledge and consistency, not because they lack capability, but because they lack the structural approach to support the maintain standards. When timelines compressed and stakeholder pressure intensify, professional execution discipline is a bridge. So I think from here, after this, before we go to the key takeaways, let me take you through the actual solution in terms of the discipline, how everything is structured, and how I've actually managed to create something that actually helps me also as a BA that probably might also help you. So what I'm going to kick off with, I think I'm going to just minimize this presentation for now. Fatu, are you there? I need your assistance here quickly. Can you just unmute yourself?
We are all here, sir. We can hear
Okay.
you perfectly.
Yeah, what I need to do is just maybe share. I need to share, stop sharing this and share the actual execution platform that I can actually, before I share it, I want to ask everybody here, do you guys know a platform called Hippo that is used in South Africa for quotes?
Yep.
We all do, yes.
Yeah, we know it.
Yes. Actually, I'm building a solution for because the Hippo does only quotations for insurance, isn't it? So we've got a lot of training providers that the HR managers and LAD managers, when they're looking to sort of send people out for training, they don't have. There's no platform that they can actually go and look for quotes specifically for courses. It's either CETA or international certification courses. So what I want to show you is because I want to show you the solution that I'm building so that I can show you the tool, how I went in the tool in the execution platform and did all the requirements in terms of doing the requirements facilitation, doing the use cases, user stories, everything, generated the diagrams, UML, all those diagrams, all the way until I have an entire pack of the entire eight stages that of the requirements that I've actually the entire stage 8 stages of doing the requirements all the way to the traceability to show the traceability as well.
Perhaps Sipho, to streamline this,
Yes.
mainly because Hippo is also a highly recognized organization, right? And obviously, we record this for later and avoid
No.
any
No,
embargoes.
no,
Yeah, we
no. I'm
rather
showing a
yes.
solution that I'm building. It is not Hippo. There's no Hippo in it. It's just a version of something like Hippo that is actually just for course quotes.
Got you. Then
Does it make
okay,
sense? Okay, can
perfect.
I?
Yeah.
So what should I do? Stop sharing and then share the
You can
the.
navigate to the tool. Yes.
Okay, let me navigate to the tool. Okay, let's see. Find the window. Okay, there we go. Yes, because I want it to make sense when I go through, because we talked about the discipline. I want to show how I've actually created this site, going through actually generating all those requirements for myself. So this is, can everybody see this screen? This is just a quotation code comparison portal that I'm actually building. It's basically for vendor and CETAs, everybody, international bodies. All your CETAs are here. SA providers like your UNISAs and Tamelin, and for international certification bodies, all the way from PMI, Microsoft. So this is actually built. This is a sample of what this cost comparison, if you do a cost comparison, will actually probably give you as a result. And this is built for HR managers and LAD managers, and it's also for individuals and training providers. So if a person wants to do a code, probably just click in here, fill in some details, which they require, budget, industry, the course name, and then preferred mode, be it classroom or blended, and then go according to compliance first in terms of the BE skills levy compliance or by price. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to navigate to the window of the actual solution now and show you how I've actually managed to do all the requirements, requirements and everything within in terms of the execution platform. So let me just choose this one and share. Okay. All right. Welcome to the execution platform. The execution platform works in terms of the discipline, works in two ways. There's way where we actually create a project, paste a BRD, which is the requirement, extract the requirements that is elicitation, and from there, after we've done the requirements extractions, we can then generate the user stories, use cases, process flows, traceability, and exports. Now, because due to the time, I'll actually just go through it just in this way, and then go through it where I will show you everything that I've actually generated from the BRD for that course code using the execution, like all the structure, the mapping, and how everything links together. So the next way is actually if like you are a seasoned BI, like, or maybe a professional, a senior person, you'd use what we call an 8-stage pipeline where you can just run it. It actually looks like this. Let me just show you. A person will create a project probably here and then select the type of requirements that they want to generate. And then once they've done that, they run the pipeline. It will then go and create all these. It will automate all this and to create the requirements, stakeholder analysis, user stories, process flows, test cases, everything right to traceability. So the current way that I'm actually using it, I'm going to show you the project package, which of that solution that I've actually created. Here it is. I've done all the requirements in terms of the requirements, user stories, traceability, everything. It's in this package. If I were to open it, just to show you the entire rundown, you can see this is the Hippo course style, and here are the requirements 18. User stories, use cases, flows, process flows, and test cases, and then the deliverable. So here you have them. There's the requirements. If you click, you can see the requirements. If you click on the user stories, you can see all the user stories, the use cases that it actually generates, the process flows, the test cases, so on, so on and so on. So how does actually from this point, like I've said, there's two scenarios that you can actually create this. First, you can create a package, but before you can do anything within this execution tool, you have to have the requirements first. So you can either, I'm going to do it the simple way. Here, normally what I do, I will have a BRD that I'll upload, and then I will extract the requirements, which then it will give me all the requirements for that BRD for this specific project, right? Then when I'm finished, I can then go and do the stakeholders, then generate the analysis of the stakeholder and domain analysis. It will generate it specifically for that project, which is the Hippo project. And then from there, once I've done the requirements, I'll then go each and every, it's a step. The next step will generate the analysis. Then the next one, it will generate the use cases, the user stories. So these use cases I generated from the same requirements that I've generated. So if I click generate requirements, it will generate these requirements, as you can see. And these requirements are also numbered. They have a reference which we're going to use for traceability. All right, then after I've done the user stories, I can click on use cases, generate the use cases from those same requirements. Then it will generate the use cases, as you can see here. And then when I'm done with the use cases, I go down and I say, please go to process flow, which is the next step, which means these are 8 stages. So I can then go down and click on generate the process flows. It will generate the process flows for me as well. So it's also the end-to-end process documentation for the same requirements. And then when I'm finished, I can go to the test cases, and then I can go and generate the test cases from the same requirements. So you can generate them as well. As you can see, here are the test cases also. They are also numbered in terms of reference. Then when I'm finished, I can then go back and then generate the QA strategy. Okay, and this one, I think I might have skipped it. Let me just see if I click generate quickly, it can actually help us to come through. Okay, there we go. Then it has created the testing scope and objectives for the actual project that we're actually busy with. Then now I can go to traceability, and in traceability, all I do, I will see all the traceability of everything that I have. So I've got 9 requirements fully covered. So here you can see the requirements. There they are. Then inside here, you can see the traceability in the audit trail. There's the user stories, there's the use cases, there's the test cases. So you can also have some kind of a graphic view where you see all the requirements, user stories, and the use cases. But this requires a bit of sort of bandwidth to actually generate, because it does take a bit of time. Is it generating behind the scenes? And also what you can do is do an AI auto traceability. This analyzes all the artifacts and suggests missing traceability links based on your semantic similarity. So based on the same project, I can go and run the analysis for this Hippo project of mine, where I've got 9 requirements, 18 user stories, 8 use cases, and 23 test cases. Just give me a second. So everything here is structured and it's linked. From the word you go when you do the requirements elicitation, right to user stories, use cases, process flow, everything is linked. So you can see those are the requirements that we have here. Those are user stories, some of use cases, and the test cases. And then there's the suggestions of that you can have also 4 suggestions that are there. So you can apply all 4 suggestions if you want. All right, let me give you a go back to now delivery plan. So I've already created a delivery plan. You can see here it's a sprint 1. Sprint 1, there's the cost submission management provider, submit requests for code RFQs, compare cost features, search and filter training course. Sprint 2 will be provider management in terms of the training providers who are going to come in as actually the guys who are going to be our customers, who are going to give us the courses to actually also upload on the course code platform. All right, I'm just going through. So let me go to the roadmap. The roadmap, you can also generate it. This analyzes your requirements and user stories to recommend a development roadmap. So here you can click the specific package we have currently is the Hippo course style, and then you can choose group by sprint, 2 weeks, or release. So now we're going to say 2 weeks sprints, so we can generate the roadmap. Now I understand why people that actually build things like Facebook and all these other sort of solutions platforms. It's because of a pain point. Like myself, I used to have serious issue of all this manual work in terms of keeping everything together. Now with this platform, I can execute the entire business analysis sort of work with ease. So the next thing I'm going to look at, we've got risk management here as well. I don't know, because of time, we can actually look at it. And we've got Kanban as well, which for user stories, requirements, use cases, and test cases. Here you can drag it if you have a use case or user story, if it's ready. Bedlog, if you scroll down, you can see everything here. If it's high or medium, if this one provide operational report is in progress, you can drag it here. If the buyer compare cost side by side is complete, you can drag it to done in the corner. Okay, just that is just one feature also, because I'm also a Kanban person. Now let's look at the traceability matrix of our project in terms of the requirements. We've got 19 user stories, 18, 23 test cases, and 11 deliverables. You can see here we've got dependency matrix. So you can see here is requirements, stories, tests, and components. Now you have the entire traceability matrix also in here. And then what you can see, we've got also the deliver Kanban as well. Let me look at, I'm just going to skip, let me see if I can do this, because it's No, it's enterprise is fine. Let's go to the diagrams because the diagrams take a bit of time. Let me just try and generate maybe the customer journey, which is going to be our user stories. Because the UML, okay, let me try first the UML diagram. Let me just try the use cases first, so you can see so at the bottom here you can see your process and domain descriptions. These are you'll find all the use cases in here. So what I want to also do now is actually provide, because the pipeline comes from each type of a project that you have. So when I add new projects, then here you can have a drop down where we're actually putting a drop down where you can actually choose from which project package you actually want to run it from. So here I'm just going to demo how this thing will generate your use cases. Just we click generate, and then you go back and look at this window. It will generate use cases. Then we can probably just make it full screen. So there's the entire use cases that it's actually diagram that is actually created for us seamlessly. So you can do that also with user stories. I'm just going to take the ones which are a bit quicker, because the other ones I take, then they're exactly the same thing. It will choose. There are 18 of them, and then you can go and click. You can see all of them are in here. So you can click generate user stories. Okay. This solution, actually, this execution platform is also in development. What I've actually developed as myself is version 1 and 2. The version 3, I'm actually going to be doing it, I think, with IBM, if God willingly. So there's your user story diagram that you can get. Just showing you some of the features so that you can actually see. So on export also, now because you have all those artifacts that you have generated, now you can also, like people who are in the CETAs, normally they want something like a proof of what they call it, POE, portfolio of evidence. You can actually download this as a package. So in a .md form, or download as a PDF. Actually, you can download as a PDF, as doc as well, or a zip. So you can choose which requirements and from which project package that you want. So mine is still Hippo here. So if I want to, also we have a PDF generator, which you can also generate some PDFs from your templates, whatever it is, FRDs, SRLs, and you can choose from which package you want to. Just to save some time, because this thing is a bit a lot, so I just want to show you some stuff that I think would be of value to you guys. And then you can also have your own artifact library, where you can actually also add your own template, new templates that you can actually upload. The BA profile for now is just something that you can have internally, that you can use just to showcase to your employers and clients. And then we got a BA resources that we have as well. Because right now, the system I'm using, the execution platform, I'm using it as a super user. So everything I can be able to go through, whatever it is, which is backend and actually the other functionality which other users can use, be a learner, be an instructor. So here you can have direct resources to the different BA portals from IIBA, PMI, BCS, VMEdu, templates as well, learning platforms, and some standards. I think I think that is as much as I can actually sort of show you. I can take you through. I think I will end there. Stop. Okay, I will stop sharing. Mr. Fatu, over to you. I
You
think
had
I've
a
exhausted my.
presentation to go back to host that show.
Oh
Could you
yes, yes, yes.
elaborate?
Let me
Yeah.
just conclude with that. I just forgot the where is it? Uh, where is my presentation now? Sorry, just give me a second. I don't. Yes, I'm trying to get back to my presentation window. Here we go. Okay. So now the key takeaways here with that is that BA work is difficult by nature. It is true. The complexity is real, politically, structural, and temporal. But acknowledging this is only just a starting point for professional growth. Professional success depends on execution, discipline, which is if you we talked about PABOK. It's just the best practices, but you have to figure things out yourself. Myself, like because of that pain point, I had to make sure that I come up with tools that actually can help, platforms that can actually help me. Traceability and structure protects the outcomes. So these are not bureaucratic overheads; they are professional safeguards for project stakeholders and your credibility. The tools must support methodology. No tool or platform environment substitutes for not replace it for a principle BA thinking and professional judgment. Now AI adds value when used responsibly. So AI supports execution discipline, not thinking. The practitioner remains accountable for every output. Um, let's go to the next slide is just basically the enterprise platform, sort of the entire suite.
Basically, this part is what you just demonstrated, right?
Yes. This is just the overview of the entire solution itself.
Can we go into the questions? I think there are some in the chat because we'll run out of time if we don't.
Okay.
Yes,
I think
Aubrey, you may.
we can. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
And now we open for the question, reflections, and discussions. So the opening the floor. This session is designed to interact, bring your real experience, challenges, and question. But the most valuable learning is in any professional development session happens in the conversation that follows. What resonated most from today's session? Where do you see the execution depth in your own practice? How are you currently managing traceability under pressure? What questions did the demonstrator raise for you? So let me listen to the questions now. Can I just stop sharing my screen?
No, that's okay. Aubrey will then read out the questions
Okay,
to
I'll
you. And
just okay. Can I mute? Or can I mute so that he reads them and then I can unmute to answer.
Right. Thanks, Sipho, for the presentation. So there is quite a couple of questions on the chat. Seems like it's from two people, so I'll just read maybe 3 or 4, and then if we have more time, then we can move on to that. So the first question is the audit ready outputs. Does this mean that at requirements elicitation stages, audits should be informed to avoid misaligned documentation in terms of what audit requires, structure, and level of detail? I think this was asked by Fatu. So if you want to elaborate a bit more on that for Sipho's sake, I'm sure you can jump into that. And then, the second one, I'll read it's from Lalita. It says, in order for this product to work, you would need to input your business requirements or BRD. So I think they're trying to find out if what the product that you were demonstrating there, that for it to work, you would need to have an input of the business requirement documentation. So if Sipho, you can answer those two, and like I said, if the questions need a bit more clarity, Fatu and Lalita, you're more than welcome to just clarify those. Thanks.
Okay, can I quickly just I'll end with the audit one, because audit one, me and Fatu are going to wrestle a bit. Let me just give the one for Lalita. Lalita is easy. When I started the presentation on the execution platform, I showed you there are 2 scenarios. There are 2 scenarios. The one scenario, you can paste your BRD that you have. Let's say maybe like me, I'm a learner. I'm in a classroom and I'm going through the exercise. I'll have files already given to me to actually use. So I can either upload or take and paste the requirement, but everything starts from requirements. You can't generate the user stories, use cases based on what. That's a first thing. And the other scenario is that you can use scenario 2. That's why I was actually it's nice because I mentioned your name on scenario 2. I said this is for senior sort of consultant or professionals in the BA who have knowledge and experience like myself. They're the only thing that you do. You have to actually go into the create a product package and choose which requirement you want to start with. If you want to do the BRD, you start with the BRD and you run the pipeline. The pipeline then from that BRD will then do the entire 7 stages that you need to generate your user stories for you automatically. So that is why I said, unfortunately, we didn't have enough time. Would have been happy to actually demo that for you, where you create your own project there, like I've talked about. Yes, where you can actually, it's not necessary that you upload anything there. You only start with, there's a list of them, BRDs, whatever, and then you start saying, okay, generate. Then from there to generate your BRD for that specific project, it will have everything, the description, what it is for, and whatever. Then it will understand that what is it that you need to do. You need from it.
Yeah. The thing though is that from BA's point of view, our biggest pain point is the business requirements. The rest of it,
Yeah.
it's easy enough to generate because that's your starting point. That is where your traceability comes in, is from your requirements.
Yes.
So that's
All of them.
that's our biggest pain point. The rest of
Okay. It's just
the
a
rest
walk
of
in
it
the park.
it's a nice to have to make it a little bit easier. But when you're doing 10 different projects as well, your biggest pain point becomes your BRD, not the subsequent
Okay.
documentation towards that. So that's what I want to know. Like, how does it actually help you with your BRD itself? Does it help you to generate your BRD, or is that your entry point? Is that you have to have that
It helps.
knowledge already of the BRD
No.
itself?
No. You can generate the BRDs. That's scenario 2. The scenario 1, remember, the execution platform is made for different roles. It's made for people like who do the scenario 2. That is where you'll generate your own BRDs, the BRDs to actually paste or upload and then go through the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and still stage 8. Okay, there's another Fatu. Are you there?
I'm here, but I just saw
Hello?
an interesting question from
Yeah,
Nomvelo, and I think
I'm actually reading also on the side. Can the BA tool be integrated to Azure? Yeah, currently we're doing integration, like I'm doing integration to IBM. I don't know if you guys are familiar with IBM doors. IBM doors.
And then you will put the book down halfway during these lessons. And then he would say that.
All right. Should we continue with more questions? Because I see Chrisan is also asked a couple of questions.
Yeah,
And there
I can
is
see
one
they're
as
coming
well.
through.
uh,
Yeah,
also,
there is one also from
They're
Olga.
coming through.
please proceed with those. And also, I think there's another question as well that came from Tuso around principles as well. So you may proceed with those, and then we'll tackle the audit one later, because I think those are, please do. Aubrey, you
Cool.
may pick and continue from that. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
where are we now? I'm just trying to close the other windows that I have here so that
Aubrey will read out the question. I think we were at Nomvelo's question. I don't know if you finished it in terms of the question was specific if it can be integrated to Azure DevOps,
yes.
Jira, Confluence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Currently we're doing integrations with Jira and other platforms.
Okay. So Nomvelo, if that question is not, if you feel it's not answered,
Are you guys there?
you
I see.
you can.
Nomvela, yeah, we are on version 2 currently. We're going into version 3. Version 3 of this will cover a lot of the integrations.
Not sure if it's me or it's Sipho's connection. Is it me or Sipho's connection? Are you guys having the same issues?
Yeah,
Um,
Sipho, maybe if you can
um,
turn your camera off, I think there's a network issue there.
actually,
Yeah.
answer. I'm just reading two sources. There's a loving the principles. What are your views on these together with the tool applied in the practice? BA works is diverse and for some are very difficult. That the stakeholders who are not BAs often dictate how delivery should actually help. I guess the question is more around whether this is a need for much to inform the application probabilities. Remember, your work as a BA, TUSO also, remember when you're dealing with stakeholders, you remember you're a subject matter expert. You play a role of a physician to people who are patients. So these guys also, it is your duty to actually guide them. Really, there are certain things also you need to enforce with stakeholders. So stakeholders are people that are they're like kids sometimes. They want something, but they don't know what they want. So you need to be able to give them a sort of answers or give them input that is really realistic and back it up to has nothing to do with BA because you play the role of a BA. Why? Like the person from the founders of Apple said, he said, why do you hire somebody to tell them what to do? What was the reason of actually bringing that BA across? Because I mean, you're a stakeholder. A stakeholder is somebody where we sit down and do judge sessions and collect whatever information and start making sense of it. That's our job. It's not their job. Their job is actually to give us input. And then we can assess that input in terms of practicality as well. Okay, there goes two messages again. No, currently we don't have like a note taker or whatever, but I think we can actually look at that, Stenson. We can actually look at that feature where we can actually take raw interviews notes and actually transform into a structured requirement. I think can be something that can be actually done.
Okay, there's one that I think is also important. It's from Chrisan.
Basically, I was involved with the junior. I can see Christiana. It says, "How do you coach BAs to avoid execution depth?" The thing is with the BAs, it's exactly what I've just explained to Lalita with the two scenarios when I'm using this execution platform. Remember, the platform is just a supporting tool. It is not doesn't take away the role of PowerBook and everything. But what you should do when you're coaching people like BAs, it's actually take them from day one to start sort of being focused in terms of the discipline and be able to be structured, and then also to be able to start producing what is really required according to their domain workers, BAs, and small BAs, because they look up to you as the senior person who's supposed to be the subject matter expert. So whatever the professional etiquettes that you have in terms of the BA work, you need to make sure that you transfer it to them as well in terms of the structured approach and all those things. How would you edit the diagrams that we generated? Currently you can't edit them. You can just regenerate them in terms of just a view. Maybe if that is one thing that we can look at to edit the diagrams. Another thing that I actually got today from one international company that we were sort of presenting to, they actually prefer that because you can actually download those artifacts and sort of proofread them, edit them, but they also prefer that you actually can be able to edit those things real time as you're busy generating them. And I think that is what you're actually referring to. So that one, I can put it in the same bucket as the question I got it earlier. Let me go to the next one. When do you choose step by step versus end to end execution? Yeah, step by step that's why I said the execution platform is built for different roles. So a person who is more of also in terms of also environment, a person who's a consultant who has been in BA and all those things, you'll understand the end execution easily, because you can generate here. There you can just create a project, choose what type of artifact he wants to generate. It will generate his BRD or whatever it is, and then from there he can then generate all the other artifacts, that just user stories, use cases, and everything. But from a training point of view, like from a junior BA as well, if it's somebody that needs to be coached and make sure that he does understand what he's doing, the step
Aubrey, I'm just looking at time. Maybe one more question.
Because you will
we
do
can
the
take and
BRTs
then
for them,
close.
and then you'll give them a file. It's up to standard. Everything's correct. Everything step by step.
Okay.
Let me see.
Thanks, Fatu. Let me just
I'm just going through the questions as they come. Okay.
let me just pick one from the list of the questions that were asked earlier, which were not addressed. So there's one from Chrisan as well. It says, how do you personally maintain execution discipline when deadlines and stakeholder pressures push you towards shortcuts? I think this is a very good one because yeah, like you mentioned, Sipho, there's a lot of pressures that come with being a BA. So how do you maintain the execution discipline and still maintain and still be able to keep
Okay. I
the
think,
pressure
am I
yeah.
muted?
No, you're
Fatu?
not. You're not.
You are not on mute, sir.
Aubrey?
You're not on mute.
My network is going up and down. Aubrey? Fatu?
Did you hear my question?
Hello?
I think
Okay.
people is having connection issues, guys. There's a delay.
Yeah, I think this is...
Fatu, are you there? Aubrey, are you there?
Yeah, we're here. I think now you're muted.
Aubrey?
Yeah, can you hear us? Okay, I think something
Hello?
happened on his end, Fatu.
In that case, we only have a minute before we close. So I think the other questions we can just leave them in the chat and we'll proceed to carry on with the rest of the program. And thank you very much, everybody. We have shared our links to our events, links, our social media pages, and what we'd ask of you as well is that there is a feedback form that you need
Aubrey, are you
to
there?
complete. And in there, you should be able to also indicate if you would like to receive the post-session handout that will then be distributed from your response in the comment section of the
Aubrey, are you
feedback
there?
form, which just basically has been shared in there. And thank you very much for attending. See you next time in the next tools and techniques. We also have next Wednesday our late coffee that we have every first and last week of the month, 8 a.m. in the morning. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you, Fatu.
Thanks, everyone.